All right. This is Prolific Mind Wellness Podcast. This podcast is geared towards promoting mental wellness, personal and professional development. My goal is to plant seeds that will help you shift your perspective. Today, I have a special guest, Nala Shakur. Nala, introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nala Asa Shakur. I am a creator, an educator, and a medicine woman. I'm into all things natural. So, everything I do, anything I create, is to guide people back to nature in terms of physical health, mental health, spiritual, and even emotional health. So, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for being part of. So, Nyla, I want to say that everything you mentioned that you are, you is. And by me stumbling across it, I automatically was pulled to your page. And it was from the home birthing. So, can you tell the audience about your journey to choosing home birth and unassisted? What was it, unmedicated or unassisted birth?
Unassisted, actually.
Unassisted.
So a lot of people ask me about this. Actually, I haven't formally told my full birth story because I'm just only 2 years postpartum. But I
Okay.
always knew I wanted to have a home birth ever since I was young. Honestly, I've always been fascinated by birth. When I
Hmm.
was little, I used to watch like the Discovery Channel of like, I think it was called like Deliver Me, of like the women having babies, and I used to just be so amazed.
Hmm.
And then I think I learned about home births like sometime in high school, and I'm 28 now, so I've
Okay.
known about them for a while, and I just always thought that it was such a beautiful experience. And
Hmm.
also, a big part that tied into that is I grew up with a mother who battled a lot of physical health issues. And so
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of my childhood in doctor's offices and hospitals, and those type of environments. And it kind of developed, like, the emotional toll of it made me develop like a an ick for it almost. And I think Western
Uh,
medicine is really good for emergencies, but I knew with my birthing experience that I didn't want to mesh that energy together. I
mhm.
didn't want to be in a state of fear or like emergency, or like this was something to panic about, or that I needed so much outside help. I just believe that
Yeah.
birth is like truly a spiritual experience. And I
Mhm.
just believe in listening to our bodies overall. So I always planned to have a home birth. Ever
Okay.
since I was younger, my entire pregnancy, I planned for that. But the unassisted part actually came unplanned. So I had two midwives and a doula that were a part of my birth team. But some things happened where I couldn't make my payments for my midwives because it is out of pocket, and paying for midwives is very expensive. You know, they
Yeah.
deserve that payment, but it's not as flexible for everybody. So there was things that went on behind the scenes and with the care provider that I was associated with,
Mhm.
which ended me not having a birth team anymore. And I think I was fear mongered into like, oh, you have to go to a hospital now since you don't have these midwives and doulas. But I was just very firm in my decision of like, this is what I want to do, and I believe in my body, and I know that I've prepared for this. So yeah, and that was exactly what happened.
Okay, you said three words that stood out to me. In the
Hmm.
beginning, you talked about this something I always knew that I wanted to do, which is plan. And then the preparation of having that midwife and doula, although it didn't end up that way. And that's how I hear some women say they had their unassisted birth or home birth experience because they prepared for the birth and also planned. So my next question is, how did you spiritually and mentally and physically prepare once you know, okay, now the ball is in my court?
And that is really a good thing to mention, because although I do really love the aspect of home birth, I wouldn't advise women to just,
Yeah.
everybody needs to have a home birth. It's
Right.
definitely something that you have to prepare for. Like, preparation is not an option at all when it
Mhm.
comes to having a home birth. So things that I did, just starting spiritually, I created an altar for my baby, with things from his loved ones, things that I placed on there, his name, and just spiritual things to create like a almost like a landing spot for him
Yeah.
to land here, and to just help usher him in spiritually. I did a lot of prayer, consulting with myself, consulting with my baby, just what is right for us, what is the right
Yeah.
experience. um Mentally, I did a lot of affirmations, a lot of affirmations. Actually, in my third trimester, I went to a river that's near me, and I
Uh-huh.
recorded myself at the river with the water in the background, just affirming that I can do this. I am safe. My body is able. I have everything that I need. Just securing this in my mind. And I listened to that audio several times in my third trimester. So mentally, it was planted. Like, I'm doing this. There's no, there wasn't any changing my mind.
Yeah.
And physically, I did a lot of physical preparation too. So I've always been into herbalism, health. I prepared with a lot of herbs like red raspberry leaf to just tone and prepare my uterus for that. I
Yeah.
did like okra water to help with, baby coming out. Like, I did a lot of physical preparation and
Yeah.
even just like physical activity a lot too. So,
Yeah. So, ladies, disclaimers, and males, whoever watching, this is a disclaimer that whatever you choose to do, this is Nyla's story. So we don't care if you're home birth, a birthing center, a hospitals. Everyone have their preference, but this is, her story, and whatever you choose to do is up to you. But these
mhm,
are some ways that you can plan it, even if you're in a hospital or whatever you choose to give birth. You can say affirmations because I think sometimes fear drives people. And what
mhm,
caught me into your page is because I read different stories because I'm trained in perinatal mental health. So I like to immerse myself in, education and learning people's different story. And the
mhm,
lady talked about how she mentally prepared herself basically the same way that you said, the affirmations and speaking positivity because of hearing other people's stories and narratives. People can project fear when you're telling them that you're going to do home birth or unmedicated or natural or other way. And she said she had to reframe that fear and
yep.
prepare herself for it. She didn't let fear be the narrative of her story.
Yeah. And fear mongering is pretty big in the birth
Mhm.
space, because overall, birth has become a business. It
Yeah.
has become something where, you know, I believe that there are high risk pregnancies, and some women really do need the extra
Mhm.
support of Western medicine. But I also believe that there's a flip side in that, and that they have turned birth into a business and a way to make money for hospitals, and to play off of women's fear to kind of push different procedures and medicines and things just to kind of rack up that bill.
Yeah.
So it's something that it really does take a lot of mental preparation, because nobody can tell you something about your body better than you can,
Mhm.
especially in birth. And I think the thing that is so that makes a lot of us women so afraid of birth is that it is the unknown. It's
Yeah.
very like, you don't know when that baby's coming. You don't, you just, it's unknown. And that's something that we have to learn to surrender to. So I
Mhm.
would say that's even another preparation, is learning how to surrender to not exactly knowing, okay, I'm this many centimeters. Okay, this baby's coming at this time, on this date, at this, birth
Yeah.
is a surrender. So it's very easy to slip into the fear when you
Mhm.
have to surrender. So I think that, yeah, fortifying your mind and building that mental stronghold and having a
Yeah.
partner that can hold that for you as well is really important.
And you said birthdays is business. That's funny you said it because I watched the movie by Ricky Lake, and it's like when you said at birth, not at birth, but when you was younger, you used to watch those shows. I used to watch A Baby Story. It was on TLC. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's when people did their birth and delivery stories. But I didn't know Ricky Lake, the TV host, had a movie based on how the birth in the hospitals is a business. And through that video, that movie, I learned that I always thought epidural was part of birth, but that's her intervention. So I didn't know
Yep.
birthing things are interventions, and that part had me educated. I say, oh, I thought that was part of. That's what people do because you throw it around loosely, like, okay, I'm getting an epidural or I'm getting this. This is something that they use as a intervention, and most people make more money, they said, off of c-sections. So when
Yep.
I'm working with people and it was like, I don't want a c-section, whatever you choose to do, I'll look it up on this app. I think it's called the Earth app, and it shows you like the c-section level. You can put some doctor's name in there, to learn, and people sharing their story. And I think that's a good app to have because you said fear mongering. We've seen the different stories that Black women are dying at an alarming rate. We are
Yep.
treated unfairly. It don't matter your socioeconomic status. Beyonce talked
Yeah.
about it. Serena Williams and Kyla Pratt,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Yep. It's definitely a business, and those interventions, they they are designed to interrupt the natural flow of a woman's
mhm.
body and what it's supposed to do in birth. So we
Yeah,
would call that physiological birth. It's just letting the nature of your body do what it does in its own timing. And when we introduce a lot of these interventions like the epidural, the pitocin, and just all
mhm.
of the forceful things of trying to get a baby out,
Yeah,
it interrupts the cycle and it causes complications. So
yeah,
a lot of complications that are the reasons why, doctors say like you need a C-section. It started from the chain of interventions placed
hmm,
on that woman, and now the physiological cycle is all out of whack,
yeah,
and now the baby's stressed out, now there's complications, now the heart rate is up, now things are going wrong, and now they're pushing fear, 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 you need this right now. And it's like the urgency is what
mhm.
is almost the biggest intervention.
Yeah, because you said something that was so on point, and you talked about how the heart rate, and that's what I learned through watching those videos. That once they induce them with the epidural or the pitocin, that's what make the heart rate go up, and then they tell you you need an emergency C-section or you or your
Yep.
baby at risk, where your survival instinct come into mode. And so, are you saying, okay, whatever's safe with the baby, you in pain, you're not right in your right state of mind, and you just going with whatever they tell you. So I say that I think they should tell people the pros and cons of all and not just pushing an agenda when it
Yep.
comes to birthing, because I think it's a lack of information and disinformation about
Yeah,
childbirth.
absolutely. It's a lack of both. And just to add in there, even women who do want to birth in hospitals, I believe that that can be a good experience. It's
Mhm.
just knowing these things is important
Right.
before going into any setting, so that when you
Mhm.
do go in there, you can establish, hey, I know my rights, I know my body, I know what
Yeah.
I desire, and at the end of the day, you all have to listen to me, not
Right.
me listening to you, because I'm the one having this baby and I have
Mhm.
autonomy over my own body. So I think that's the biggest thing that is a
Yeah.
game changer, is having autonomy over your own body.
And that's the biggest thing for me when I'm working with women. I say, what it is that you want. And you go in there and you tell them what you want, and don't let no one send you or turn you around, because sometimes when you're talking about your pain, they send you home. And there's another way that Black women are dying. They're not trusting their pain level. And some women tell you, oh, I can say that, or I can create a birthing plan, or I can bring that in there. And I tell people, don't be afraid to ask and advocate for yourself and be
Yep.
active. I call it the triple A when it comes to your birthing. About whatever you choose to do, just make sure you're being active, advocate, and ask questions, because sometimes they feel that they're a bother to the doctor. You already being
Mm-hmm.
judged, and I didn't realize you also being judged based on your insurance of how they treat you in the
Mm-hmm.
hospitals and things sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, and I can actually attest for that because I was on Medicaid. So
Hmm.
I can definitely agree with that. You get a different treatment
Yeah,
depending on your insurance. So that's another unfortunate aspect. But once again, it's just knowing your body, knowing your rights, and knowing that this is your birthing experience and you can't be
yeah,
afraid to speak and express
hmm,
how you desire for that to be. And I think that just translates into life overall as a woman.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, you also have affirmations you created. And so at what moment did you know about the power of words, and how much did they weigh and hold, and that made you create affirmations?
Um I used to always consider my number one love language words of affirmation.
Hmm.
Words have always been a big thing for me personally. So it kind of started off with myself. Like I discovered the idea of affirmations when I was around like 19 years old, and I
Hmm.
started like actively practicing them. So I had sticky notes all over my walls, on my mirrors, in my bathroom, in my notebook, everywhere of like affirming things to myself. And I noticed how quickly it really started to become a part of my reality. So I think that I took that personal journey with affirmations and I was like, oh, this is powerful. Like, words are really
Yeah.
powerful. Words are really spells, like things that we
Hmm.
speak, especially that we speak out loud and that we write down and even that we listen to, literally create our reality. So that's where my affirmation book came from. It came from affirmations that I spoke to myself that helped me get to a place that I'm trying to, support others in getting to.
Yeah.
But I didn't know my words were powerful for other people until probably until I released my book. So I released the first edition of my book in 2020. And just like the feedback that I got from that, and people just like, wow, like you give voice to everything that I was feeling and the answers that I'm looking for. And it's just nice to have somebody put it into words. And that was when I
Yeah.
knew, like, okay, this is a gift of mine. Like,
Hmm.
my words and my expression and my voice is a gift and something that I have to utilize in, my purpose in this world.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer your gift will make room for you, especially when you're walking in your purpose and alignment. Now, your book is called Love Starts Here. What
hmm
inspired you to write the book?
So I started the journey of writing that book kind of started when around the same age, like 19, when I got into
Mhm.
the affirmations. I actually was in college and I was going through like a complete like shadow period where I just felt like my life was falling apart.
Uh-huh.
And I remember when I went to the bookstore and I bought this book called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like a self-help book. And I read that and it just like completely changed my whole mind about just how life works and how I was about to get myself out of this hole that I felt I was in.
Mhm.
And reading her book and the power that it had over me, I was like, oh, I have to share my story. Like
Yeah.
when I get out of this hole, I want to write a book and I want to be able to inspire somebody else the way that I was just inspired.
Okay. Love
Yeah.
starts here. So, what would be an example of what love starts for you?
Love starts within self, literally. Within self, in every aspect. Like before we look for love in friendship and love in romance, love out in the world,
Mhm.
before like everything that we receive in our reality, our career, our work, our friendships, our marriages,
Mhm.
our everything is a reflection of how much we love ourselves.
Yeah.
And that is such a layered thing, but it's like no, self-love really is the basis
Hmm.
of everything.
Yeah. Because it's a setup of how you treat yourself and how you allow others to treat you. Self
Mhm.
love is boundaries.
Mhm.
And so it's going to show up and reflect everywhere
Yep.
in your life when it comes to love. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What are the benefits of somatic therapy? So we talked about physical, how you can physically prepare yourself for childbirth or anything. And I
Mhm.
think that movement is good for energy. And so tell me the benefits from your perspective of somatic therapy and what is somatic therapy?
Yeah. So somatic therapy to me, I kind of like have my own. So I
Yeah.
combine somatic therapy and sound healing and guided meditations all in one. So I kind of have
Yeah.
my own practice in a sort. But I go off the philosophy that we have something called fascia. That is like if you think of fascia being like a liquid web that
Mhm.
covers your entire body from head to toe. It covers all of your organs, it covers everything. And within that web that is made of liquid holds emotion and it holds trauma. And so when our bodies or our nervous systems cannot process something in the moment that it happens, so say we experience something in our childhood and most of us aren't taught how to regulate emotions in childhood.
Yes.
So we end up storing that trauma in our fascia, in our physical bodies, and it stays there. And the more that we keep on feeling that, or things keep building onto that, because our life will start to reflect what we stored in us, the more that
Yeah.
that builds up, it causes stagnation. And stagnation is the root of pain in our bodies. And so with somatic healing, it focuses on clearing energy from the body and from the fascia, like on a physical level,
Mhm.
and not just, you know, the same way affirmations are great and all those things, but that is a mental thing. So when we do
Yeah.
somatic, it is different techniques of like tapping the body, making parts of the body aware and awakening certain traumas and things that have been stored for a
Yeah.
release. And so with the sound therapy, it comes in, there's different frequencies of the bowls, and it's able to kind of vibrate out that energy
Mhm.
that's stuck in the body. So it's like a different way of releasing energy.
Mhm. Releasing energy and regulated emotion. So when you talked about meditation, I thought about an interview that I was listening to last week with someone was interviewing Kobe Bryant, and he talked about Phil Jackson, his coach, and that how he introduced them to meditation. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
if you realize each team that Phil Jackson coached, they were able to regulate their emotions. And that plays an intricate role in winning a championship. Because as I watch WNBA, I see that some people work well under pressure. And everything is about regulating your emotion, no matter what field that you're in life, because it helps with your decision making. And so that can cause you to either win or lose a championship. I watch people
Mm-hmm.
go from top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top when you're watching WNBA. There's always a story. And it's more like those seasoned vets that are able to regulate their emotions under pressure that tends
Mm-hmm.
to win that championship. So you don't have to, we're not just talking about like home birth. That's just anything in life that you're doing.
Yep.
Find something with somatic energy, meditation, physical, like she said, that stagnant energy. So if you're feeling stuck and like, you know what, I want to start this project, but I keep wondering why I'm not getting started. You maybe
Mm-hmm.
need to do some energy cleansing and go within. And that's what stood out with me, you too, with your thing. It's talked about glowing within. And what always stick out to me is Lauryn Hill lyrics. How you gonna win if you ain't right within? And that's just anything in
Yep.
life that first it starts within. And sometimes I tell myself that you gotta go within. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, journaling is going within because it's a art of reflection or writing. And so that's why you stood out to me because I'm like, she has all that of a holistic healer.
Yeah.
So tell me about the glow within that you have.
So that
Services.
is like a movement I created called Natural is the Way to Glow. When I
Mm-hmm.
first started my business, it's just a movement that I created to kind of show people that, because I think that this generation that we're in, this timeline that we're in, especially for us women, it focuses on the physical aspect. Like, what do I look like to other people? And so it was kind of like an attention grabber of like, all women, you want to glow.
Yeah.
You want your skin to glow and your hair to grow and you want to be physically, you know,
Mm-hmm.
glowing. But it comes from literally that glow, that aura, that presence. As a
Yeah.
woman, it comes from within. Like, it doesn't matter how many skin creams you're using, it doesn't matter like all the regimens you can do, and they may work for a little bit, but if you're not right on the inside, it's gonna show on the outside. And that's
Yes.
what I just wanted to guide women back to is like, this all begins with how you feel about yourself, with how much you
Mm-hmm.
love yourself, with how much you tolerate. Like you said, your boundaries, what are you allowing in your life? Even for what are you allowing you to do for yourself? Are you allowing yourself to skip out on your self care all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's pretty much the movement about the inner glow. And I also want to say I really love what you were talking about, the WNBA, and how meditation,
Yeah,
how that accounts to like winning something, and emotional regulation is for everyone.
yeah.
Like in entrepreneurship, because it's about not being so reactive to everything.
Hmm.
Like you got to be able to sit back. Okay, how do I respond to this and not
Yeah.
react and cause more chaos?
Right. Entrepreneurship, MBA. That's why I said it doesn't matter what field you in, your 9 to 5, because sometimes you say this coworker triggered me. No one can trigger you unless you already feel that about yourself. And I read that in the 4 agreements, and it's about like don't take things personal. So it
Mhm.
goes back to what you said. You have to go within, and what's in you will be show up out of you. So like you're saying, you can do and use all these different creams and beauty things, but sometimes you're having these bumps from stress. Are you regulating your emotion? Have you having that stagnant energy? Like get it out, release. And so the number one thing sometimes will hold people back from being physical or doing meditation, just anything in life for themselves, they say, I don't have time. So I'm like, you have to borrow time because time's wait for no man. And so
Mhm.
as we like create schedules, as I work with some people when I'm doing coaching, you see that you have at least sometimes, whether it's 5 minutes, it's based on if it's a priority. Goes back to your word, self-love. If you love self, you're going to make time and make that a non-negotiable, because
Mhm.
that's when the boundaries come in place. Like, hey, before this time, this is my 5 minutes. I don't need any interruptions, and you have to stand firm on your boundaries, but you can't pour from a cup half empty. So we just want this movement of people just going within, tapping within in a world of full of distractions.
Yep.
How are you going to show up for yourself and treat yourself? And so I say to you, as we, get towards the end, what is one thing that you can't go at least a day without, or week, with, as it relates to like pouring into yourself? Like, what is your non-negotiable that you know for sure this works for me to regulate my emotions, that this is my must have?
Oh, honestly, a really good shower. Like, and that is so simple, but like
Mhm.
truly, a really, really good shower is everything for me. And I cannot go a day without a shower because I feel like water is very powerful in general. But
Yeah.
for me, water is so relaxing. And I recently just discovered something of showering with the light off with a candle, and
Uh-huh.
that helps to just regulate your emotions and calm your body down, because bright lights stimulate the flight or flight, which is also
Yeah.
why bright lights in birth are not good. But so showering in the dark and just like doing all of my self-care, this is something I have to do every day. I have to do my skincare. I have to rub my natural body butters on and oil my
Yes.
scalp and all those things. Like those things are non-negotiable. I would not be
Yes.
right if I don't do them.
And I saw some of your services on your page. So can you, because that's why I called you an innovator and a creative. So can you please
Yeah.
talk about your services that you provide and you have as it relates to like beauty, lifestyle, and wellness?
Yeah, so I do consultations with people. So I do one-on-one consultations. It's called Ready to Glow. So in those consultations, I can go over several things. We can go over herbal wellness, getting back to feminine energy in a sense of like reclaiming the womb and different practices for healing the womb. Um, I also do my somatic and sound therapy meditation practices, so where I can virtually or also in person hold a sound bath to help clear some
Yeah.
energy, do personalized meditations for people. And I have clients where I make individual personalized products. So if someone comes to
Okay.
me like, hey, I'm really struggling with eczema, this is what's going on, this is my diet, da 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 da, I can create a custom formulation for them that's like, hey, try this. So yeah, my services are pretty much herbalism, medicine making in any way. And then my sound bowl meditations and my one-on-one services.
Yes. So you can find Nyla and tell them where they can find you, Nyla.
Yeah, so you can find me on all social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Nala Asa Shakur. Nala like the Lion King, Nala, Asa, and Shakur like Tupac.
Okay.
And also Naturally Nala is, you'll find it under that as well. So yeah, that's all my social media, and then my website is my full name, nalaasashakur.com.
Okay, and before we end this podcast, Nyla, tell me three things that you are grateful for.
Oh, I am grateful for balance.
Hmm.
I'm grateful for the ability to balance and harmonize and balance two energies at once, like light and dark. I'm really grateful for balance. I'm grateful for community and village, because this healing journey in this life is something that we are not meant to do alone. Support
Yes.
is everything. Um, and what else? I'm grateful just for like living things. I'm grateful for the living foods that I get to eat. I'm grateful that I get to go outside and grow food and make medicine. And I'm just grateful for the creative and healing energy that flows through me. I'm just grateful for it.
Okay. And before we end this, a takeaway that I want the audience to get from this episode is go within, be active in your healing journey. And it's not monolithic. There's different ways that you can heal yourself. Go within. We talked about somatic, meditation, most importantly, being active and self love, because self love reflects how you show up for yourself. Again, thanks for tuning in to Prolific Minds podcast.